Hi students, I am Dr. Tilakavati from Food Science and Nutrition Department of Avnashlingam University. Welcome you all to this EPG Pathshala lessons. Today in this lesson, we are going to cover about phospholipids and vitamin K and the health benefits derived consuming phospholipids and vitamin K. Phospholipids are lipid protein complexes which bind together to form a membrane. This membrane covers all cells in the body, protecting the cell content from leaking or spilling out. Phospholipids, called phosphatidylcholine, are important type of lipid which surrounds the cells and has an important role in cellular functioning, and therefore life could not exist without the presence of phospholipid. Organic matter in the body has approximately 40% lipids, which is approximately 15% of the body weight. Lipids are classified into 4 subclasses as fatty acids, triacylglycerol, phospholipids and sterols. Cellular membranes in the body consist primarily of phospholipids, which comprises of a phosphate group and a nitrogen containing compound like choline. Phospholipid in food permit fat and water to mix, thus allowing fat to become a part of bloodstream and move in and out of cells and vessels. By the end of this session, you will be able to understand about the importance of vitamin K and phospholipids in human health, dietary sources of vitamin K and phospholipids, health benefits of vitamin K and phospholipids. Now, let us look about phospholipids. Phospholipids, they are present abundantly in the body, and it is very essential in the body for cell functioning, and therefore phospholipids have to be always replenished in our body. The needed quantity is replenished by the body, but sometimes there is a need for dietary supplementation also when some organs are overstressed due to aging. There are 2 types of phospholipids. One is the phosphoglycerides, which have glycerol as backbone, and the second one is the sphingomyelins, which contain sphingosine. Majority of phospholipids is constituted by phosphoglycerides, and the simplest form of phosphoglycerides is phosphatides acid. Synthesis of phospholipids takes place in the smooth endoplasmic reticulum from phosphatidic acid and alcohol. From the endoplasmic reticulum, it is transported then to the cellular membrane. Phospholipid has both a hydrophobic and a hydrophilic component, and it is called as an amphipathic molecule. Now, here look into the structure of phospholipids. The left image shows the phospholipid and the right image shows the chemical makeup. A phospholipid molecule has a phosphate group or the hydrophilic or water-loving head and a hydrophobic or water-hating tail is present. The phosphate group is with negative charge, making the head polar and hydrophilic or water-loving, and hence the phosphate is attached to the water molecules in their environment. The lipid tails are uncharged, non-polar and hydrophobic. Either saturated or unsaturated fatty acid is present in lipid tails. This picture shows a clear view of the structure of phospholipids. Phospholipids line up and arrange themselves into 2 parallel layers called phospholipids bilayer. This layer makes up cell membranes and is critical to a cell's ability to function. Here again, this phospholipid bilayer picture presents you how both the extracellular and intracellular phospholipids are bound together. The phospholipid bilayer consists of 2 adjacent sheets of phospholipids arranged tail to tail. The hydrophobic tails associate with one another, forming the interior of the membrane. The polar heads contact the fluid inside and outside the cell. Due to the chemical and physical characteristics of the phospholipids, the lipid bilayer functions as a semi-permeable membrane and only lyophilic solutes pass the phospholipid bilayer. In water, phospholipids organize into clusters or form into a structure called micelles with the hydrophilic heads orienting towards water. Lipid molecules arranged in a spherical form in aqueous solution is called micelles. The micellar formation is due to the amphipathic nature of fatty acids. These micellae carry fat-containing molecules like vitamins, hormones and lipoproteins. This is an example of micelles present in water. Next, we will look into the sources of phospholipids. All foods in human nutrition has phospholipids. They are accumulated in the cell membranes and therefore food with cell membranes contain phospholipids. An excellent source of phospholipids is soya bean, and other high quality sources are eggs, offal, milk and other dairy products and some vegetables. Lecithin is the common source of phospholipids which is naturally present in egg yolk, soybeans, sunflower seeds and rapeseeds. Next, we will see about the presence of phospholipids in eggs. Eggs provide all the nutrients for the developing and growing embryo. I think this you all know. High content of phospholipids in eggs indicate that it is very essential for life and development. Now, we will see that one egg weighs 50 gram contain approximately 1.75 gram phospholipids, and it is about 1/3 the total lipids present in an egg. It is mostly the egg yolk that provides the phospholipids. 100 gram of egg yolk contains 10.3 grams of phospholipids. Eggs, it is also rich in choline phospholipids and it is present exclusively in egg yolk. Next, we will see about the phospholipids present in soybeans. Soybeans is a rich source of phospholipids and they are often used as raw materials to produce dietary supplements and emulsifiers for food processing. Soybean phospholipids are extracted from the sludge left after crude soya oil goes through a degumming process. Compared with eggs, soya beans contain more fat, that is, it has 18.3 per 100 gram, but lesser phospholipids, that is only 1.8 gram per 100 gram of food or 9.7 per 100 gram of fat. Still, soya is the best vegetarian source of phospholipids and the amount is higher than in most other foods. Next, we will see about the phospholipids present in milk. Milk and dairy products are examples of foods that contain phospholipids as an important functional ingredient. Phospholipids in milk are enriched in the milk fat globule membrane, in which approximately 60% of the total phospholipids are embedded. The hydrophobic components of the fatty acids face towards the center of the milk fat globule, which contains triglycerides, whereas the hydrophilic part faces the aqueous phase. Phospholipids act as natural emulsifiers and stabilize milk as an emulsion of two phases. Phospholipids concentration in milk varies and natural factors like the stages of lactation, feeding, season and breed influence phospholipids concentration. Yolk eggs, liver, beet germ and peanuts contain phospholipids lecithin. Foods rich in fats and oils also contain phospholipids. Animal sources like eggs, organ and lean meats, shellfish, milk, cereal grains and oil seeds are excellent source of phospholipids, especially choline phosphatidides. Among animal sources or the tissues, beef brain contains high amount of phospholipids. Organ meats are good sources of phospholipids compared to muscular tissues. Vegetables, fruits, roots and tubers, except a few, all are poor dietary sources of total lipids. So far, we were seeing about the sources of phospholipids. Next, we will see what are the health benefits derived out of consuming phospholipids. The phospholipids act as a barrier for cells and also have the following specialized functions. First, the expansion of lungs during breathing is due to dipalmitoyl phosphatidyl choline. Cephalin, another type of phospholipid present in the white matter of the brain, neural tissue, spinal cord and the nerves. Phosphatidylcholine phospholipid has an important role in cellular functioning, or life does not exist without the presence of phosphatidylcholine. It is an excellent source of choline for the neurotransmitter acetylcholine. Choline in blood and other tissues is present in the form of phospholipid. Good quality phospholipid has enormous health benefits in liver diseases, cholesterol control, cognition and brain development, exercise capacity and skin function. Now, first let us look into the role of phospholipids and the liver disease control. There are two important preventable causes of liver diseases. One is hepatitis virus and excessive alcohol consumption. Fatty liver, alcoholic hepatitis and alcoholic cirrhosis are the three main types of alcohol-induced liver disease. Cirrhosis or fibrosis of the liver results from damage to normal liver tissue, which leaves scar tissue and is often preceded by hepatitis and fatty liver or the steatosis. There is evidence that phospholipids influence the course of liver disease that occurs in connection with excessive alcohol consumption. Phosphatidylcholine is effective in amelioration or even curing liver disease. Next, we will see the role of phospholipids and cholesterol management. The outcomes of early studies that investigated the serum cholesterol lowering activity of phospholipids is controversial. Adding 3.4% of soybean phospholipids to the diet as recommended by the American Heart Association led to a decrease in non-high density lipoprotein cholesterol, total cholesterol and triglycerides in the plasma, as well as the smaller aortic streak areas than the same diet without the addition of phospholipids. The level of fatty acids, choline, ethanolamine, inositol and glycerol were adjusted to balance the level of phospholipids. Treatment with saturated dietary egg phospholipids, and this was given as capsules, did not lead to any improvement in blood lipid profiles. Phospholipids from soybean lowered total serum cholesterol in contrast to egg phospholipids, but so did a triacyl glycerol mixture with a fatty acid composition similar to soybean phospholipids cholesterol. Both trials indicate that the composition of fatty acids is responsible for the cholesterol lowering effect. Thus, phospholipids might not be of use as cholesterol lowering agents, but they have other anti-atherogenic properties There are also other important risk factors for cardiovascular disease in addition to total serum cholesterol level. Phospholipids decrease the ratio of total cholesterol to HDL cholesterol, the risk factor that influences the progression of atherosclerosis in a beneficial manner. Next, we will look into phospholipids and how it functions in brain development. Choline is an important nutrient for the normal development of the brain. During pregnancy and lactation, requirements increases and therefore an adequate intake is very much essential. Early dietary choline supplementation can cause long-term changes in brain that lead to an improvement in cognitive process in adulthood. Next, we will see phospholipids and cognition function. Age-associated cognitive decline is distressing than the physical problem associated with aging. Phospholipids account for approximately 20 to 25% of the dry weight of an adult brain. Phospholipids are not only the backbone of the biomembrane but also provide the dynamic membrane with a suitable environment, fluidity and ion permeability which influence cognition positively. Fatty acids and glycerol are oxidized in the body to produce energy. Body uses linoleic acid present in phospholipids to produce prostaglandins. Now, let us conclude about phospholipids. Phospholipids, as an integral component of cell membranes, they are involved in cell signaling and are therefore indispensable for the communication and interaction between body cells. Although some influences of phospholipids on health are controversial, overall dietary phospholipids are most likely to have a positive effect on health. The technological properties of phospholipids as emulsifying agents and their isolation from natural sources such as soya beans, eggs and milk lead to their application as adjuvant in different food production processes. Next, we will go to the vitamin K aspect of this session. Food for special health use or the FOSHU and Foods with Nutrient Function Claims has approved 12 vitamins, that is vitamins A, B1, B2, B6, B12, C, E, D, biotin, pantothenic acid, folic acid and niacin, and 2 minerals, calcium and iron as functional nutrients. At present, vitamin K is also proposed as a new functional nutrient for skeletal health. Vitamin K is a group of fat-soluble vitamins with similar structure comprising of 2-methyl-1,4-naphthoquinone derivatives. Next, we will go to the vitamin K aspect of this session. Food for special health use or the FOSHU and Foods with Nutrient Function Claims has approved 12 vitamins, that is vitamins A, B1, B2, B6, B12, C, E, D, biotin, pantothenic acid, folic acid and niacin, and 2 minerals, calcium and iron as functional nutrients. At present, vitamin K is also proposed as a new functional nutrient for skeletal health. Vitamin K is a group of fat-soluble vitamins with similar structure comprising of 2-methyl-1,4-naphthoquinone derivatives. Fat-soluble vitamin K refers to a family of compounds called quinones, which is an essential micronutrient required for the coagulation of blood. It occurs naturally in two forms as vitamin K1 or phyloquinone and K2 or menaquinone. Derivatives of 2-methyl 1,4-naphthoquinone ring or the menadione structure is common for both vitamin K1 and K2, but they differ in side chain at position 3. The biologically active form of vitamin K in the diet is phylloquinone. Vitamin K2 has a number of related chemical subtypes with different lengths of carbon side chains made of isoprenoid groups. Now look into the structure of phylloquinone or the vitamin K1 and the menadione and the vitamin K2. Vitamin K3, that is the menadione. Next, let us look into the dietary sources of vitamin K. Phylloquinone or vitamin K1 is distributed ubiquitously throughout the diet and their concentration vary with the type of foods. Green leafy vegetables are good source of vitamin K as they are directly involved in photosynthesis. Vegetable oils and margarine are also good sources of vitamin K1. Olive oil, rapeseed and soya bean contain about 50 to 200 microgram per 100 gram of vitamin K1. Menadione are present in lesser quantities in the diet when compared with phylloquinones. Good sources of menadione are animal liver, chicken, egg yolk and fermented foods like cheese and natto. Do you know what is natto? It is nothing but it is a fermented soya bean product, and also vitamin K is produced by the intestinal bacteria. Following are some examples of vitamin K rich foods. Green leafy vegetables like kale, spinach, turnip greens, collards, Swiss chard and green leaf lettuce. Vegetables like bristles, sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower and cabbage are also good sources. Fish, meat, eggs and cereals contain smaller quantities. Vitamin K is also synthesized by the bacteria that line our gastrointestinal tract. This table presents the vitamin K content of some common foods. Now let us look into the recommended level of intake for vitamin K. In India, vitamin K deficiency is quite rare and FAO has suggested an RDA of 7.5 to 10 mg of alpha tocopherol and vitamin K of 55 microgram per day for adults. Vitamin K, that is 100 microgram to 1 mg, is administered intramuscularly to the newborn immediately after birth. At this dose of vitamin K, there is little morbidity and can prevent hemorrhagic disease of the newborn. Apart from its role in blood clotting mechanism, vitamin K is implicated in chemical modification of bone matrix and its turnover. Now look into the recommendations of the vitamin K of the Food and Nutrition Board. Now next we will go to look into the functions of vitamin K. You know vitamin K is in the form of vitamin K1 and K2. Vitamin K1 is the natural precursor of vitamin K and this is an important chemical in green plants, and the function of K1 is as an electron acceptor in photosynthesis. Hence, vitamin K is present in large quantities in the photosynthetic tissues of plants and green leaves and dark green leafy vegetables like kale, spinach, but it is present in smaller quantities in other parts of the plants like roots, fruits, etc. Human body requires vitamin K for complete synthesis of certain proteins that is required for coagulation of blood and for controlling binding of calcium in bones and other tissues. In the absence of vitamin K, blood coagulation is impaired. Liver synthesis 4 types of proteins which is required for blood clotting using vitamin K. They are the factor 2 or prothrombin, factor 7 or proconvertin, factor 9 or thrombopoietin component and factor 10 or Stewart factor. Other vitamin K dependent clotting factors are protein C, protein S and protein Z. Hence, deficiency of vitamin K lead to deficiency of the clotting factors. For carboxylation of glutamate residues in proteins to form gamma carboxyl glutamate residues or the GLA residues, vitamin K is involved. These GLA residues are involved in calcium binding and is also essential for the biological activity of known GLA proteins. Now, let us look into the health benefits of vitamin K. The first one is the vitamin K role in osteoporosis. The vitamin K intake level, it is determined not only on the amount required for blood clotting, but that is not sufficient for bone health. Serum vitamin K decreases with age and its intake is thought to be beneficial for the elderly. Vitamin K, calcium and vitamin D are the three important nutrients required for skeleton, and the combined use of vitamin K as an essential supplement in the management of osteoporosis is suggested. Recent clinical investigations have suggested that vitamin K could be efficacious for preventing vascular calcification, lowering serum cholesterol and inhibiting cancer growth. In Japan, Foshu has approved fermented soybean food that contains a large amount of vitamin K2 as foods for bone health. Proteins that contain gamma carboxy glutamate residues such as osteocalcin need vitamin K in order to express their biological activities, and only carboxylated osteocalcin can be incorporated into bone. During space flight, serum osteocalcin carboxylation decreases, so foods loaded with vitamin K is efficacious for skeletal maintenance in astronauts. Now we will look into vitamin K and its role in atherosclerosis. High phylloquinone intake indicates a heart healthy diet. Supplementation of phylloquinone slows the progression of coronary artery calcification among healthy adults with existing calcification, but there is less effect on carotid intima media thickness. Researchers have proved that vitamin K2 can reduce the progression of atherosclerosis, the blockage of the arteries that lead to heart attacks and strokes. Vitamin K2 plays a crucial role in activating proteins that helps to keep calcium in the bones and out of blood vessels where it can cause problems. Vitamin K2 have a 57% reduction in the risk of cardiovascular disease and 81% reduction in non-vertebral fractures. So far, we were looking into the health benefits of normal intake of vitamin K. Suppose if there is any upper intake levels of vitamin K, there is no evidence of toxicity even with high intakes of natural vitamin K has been reported, and also there is no adverse effects associated with supplementary intakes of vitamin K in the form of phylloquinones up to 10 mg per day. Synthetic analogues such as menadione have been associated with liver damage and hemolytic anemia, and that should not be used therapeutically. Now, let us conclude about vitamin K. Vitamin K, a fat-soluble vitamin, occurs naturally in two forms as vitamin K1 or the phylloquinone and K2 or the menaquinone. Vegetable oils and margarine are the good sources of vitamin K1, whereas the animal liver, chicken, egg yolk and the fermented foods are the good sources of vitamin K2. Vitamin K is essential for the complete synthesis of certain proteins which is required for the coagulation of blood and for controlling binding of calcium in bones and other tissues. It has beneficial effect on osteoporosis and atherosclerosis. Therefore, consuming vitamin K has better health benefits.